Welcome to this week's Bacon and Bezels, and today we're talking about the Tag Heuer Night Diver from 1987. And this watch has a really cool history. It was actually in a James Bond movie, The Living Daylights, with Timothy Dalton in 1987. And the cool thing about this watch is that it's fully loomed dial, and we'll go ahead and do a quick video of the loom for you. So as you can see, it's a fully loomed dial. And it's just so cool how bright it is. Even after all these years, it just really shines, and everything is loomed. The Tag Heuer logo, everything. Look at that brightness. Sadly, it does start to dim pretty quickly because it is from the 80s. I mean, it's like a 40-year-old watch, but just the fact that it still looms up like this, it's fantastic. So that was the really unique thing about this watch, is that the whole dial was full of loom, and it just made it very unique. And I think that's why it was probably chosen for a James Bond movie, just the uniqueness of it. James Bond has always had really cool watches like the Omega Seamaster, or in earlier days he had the Rolex Submariner, so a very long history of dive watches, and this one was no exception. Being a quartz watch, because it was at the height of the quartz revolution in the 80s, and you know, I'm a child of the late 80s, so this watch really, you know, it brings back that nostalgia, just really cool. And my dad and I have always liked Tag Heuer watches, and usually when people think of Tag Heuer watches, they think of race car driving, and they think of you know, chronographs. This one's a little different in that it's diver, but I grew up watching IndyCar races and Formula One races, and Tag Heuer was very prevalent in those with their ads. And so I always had that kind of in the back of my mind, that it would be really cool to have a Tag Heuer watch someday. This antique watch shop happened to have a Tag Heuer diver. And so a couple weeks later, I told my dad about it. He's like, we got to get down there, we got to check it out. And I walked in before him, and I took it, and I was looking at it and just admiring it. My dad walked in behind me, and he instantly just grabbed it, looked at it, threw it down on the counter, and told the guy, I'll take it. He was just enthralled by it. And it's such a clean looking watch, just a really nice look to it. I love the kind of green tint of the dial. And we both bought Tag Heuer watches. After he had picked that one up, I was kind of standing there like, which one am I going to get? And they happened to have a Tag Heuer Formula One watch as well. I think from the early 2000s or 90s. It was a beautiful watch. And so I picked that one up on that same day. So we both got Tag Heuer watches that day, which was a really special thing for me and my dad. But my dad was a little worried because we had to go back home to my mom and explain to her why we bought yet another watch, because she doesn't really understand the whole watch craze that my dad and I kind of share in. And so when we got home, we were kind of, you know, hesitant to tell her about it. And it happened to be the day, 2 years ago, it happened to be the day of the Idaho earthquake, which is very rare that would happen here. But just as we walked through the door, we were just about to tell her, and everything started shaking, and she was freaking out. We were all freaking out. The chandelier was going back and forth, and it was so much excitement here in Idaho. I know in California or other states that's not that big of a deal, but for us it was. And she kind of forgot about the whole thing. She forgot to ask us about the watches. So it's kind of a funny story looking back on it, that we laugh about, that she didn't really care because of the earthquake, everything that happened. So every time I look at this watch now, I think of that day and of that story for me and my dad. And so he had this watch, and I had that Formula One, and I really liked that Formula One. It was very in the style of a Tag Heuer. It was a chronograph. But I always kind of had this night diver in the back of my mind. And eventually I just asked him if he would, you know, be interested in selling it to me. And he's like, oh, we'll see about that. And that was always kind of a thing. But then I traded my Formula One. My wife did. I think I've told that in previous videos. She traded that Formula One watch in to get my Tudor two-tone watch, which I did a video on a couple videos ago. And after that, I asked my dad if I could buy it from him, and he thankfully let me buy it from him, and I've just loved it ever since. I have it on this green rubber strap now. I think it looks beautiful. And I actually changed the straps, so I'll go ahead and show you that video of how I changed the strap on it. All right, so what we're doing here today is we're going to take the band off of this. This was a nice black leather band here on this Tag Heuer that we're reviewing today. But I kind of like the green. I got this from Barton Bands. It's really cool. It's toolless. It has these spring bars here. But thankfully I have this really cool tool that I got recently. It's a Bergeon. It's a Swiss made, really nice tool. Got my toolbox here of all my watch tools. And we're gonna show you how to take these off. It's pretty easy with this really nice tool. Just take the spring bars out like so. And this is a really good way to change up a watch if you're getting tired of the band. This one I don't really wear a lot because of the black. I don't wear a lot of black. So see, there's the watch ticking away. So what we're gonna do is, this one is toolless. So you can just use your finger, just kind of put it there. It snaps right in. And the second one, really nice. And there you got a whole new look to your watch. I love the way, this is the first time I'm putting this on here for the video. I love the way the green looks. The dial on this Tag Heuer watch, as you'll see later in this review, is fully loomed. So it has kind of a yellow-green tint to it. So I think this green band on this really looks nice. The other really cool thing about these Barton bands is that they give you two sizes. So if you have short, really small wrists, mine are kind of average, they're not small, but if you do have small wrists, then they give you one size here and then a longer one for guys with bigger wrists. So it's really nice. I really like the look of this watch now. And that's the really cool thing about watches, that you can change up the strap, you can make it look different, and it's kind of always unique. And this watch just has memories to it. It has just that 80s nostalgia. It's a perfect size on my wrist. As I did the watch roll there, you can see how perfect of a size it is. And just this Tag Heuer Night Diver, just a very cool watch. Kind of wanted to share it with you. So thank you for watching, and as always, cherish the time.